What is this garbage? No way. Ooh, this guy thinks he's Captain Knots. Thinks he's Captain Tying Knots. When everyone needs some knots tied, they go to him.
Rock and roll is very simple. Just 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is rock and roll. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Välkommen till livestreamen.
Hello. Welcome. It is good to be here this Saturday. Welcome, 1, 2, 3. Nice to see you here today. Yeah, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, which is awesome. We've got an empty session. And I'm going to show some things that I would do. Potentially. We'll see how it goes. But a buddy of mine, viewer of the streams, he's been on here a few times, and old student and stuff. He sent over something, and he is in a position that many people are in, where they are badass at playing their instrument and have a lot of really cool ideas, but haven't quite not necessarily even released it, but haven't quite completed the idea. As a final product of some sort. And I feel like, for me, that was one of the best things I ever did. Like, looking back on some of my old recordings, they obviously weren't amazing, but doing that was huge for me as a musician. So there's, of course, you can check out the sponsors and everything like that. They're going to be on the ticker. We've got some more news coming soon. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on... a lot of stuff for students especially, but also viewers of the stream. So keep an eye on Instagram in particular for some of the new stuff that's going to be coming, like lessons and videos and all that kind of stuff. But what happened was he sent over a little guitar profile. So I'm going to get that open, and we're going to check this out. So this has a bunch of ideas, kind of notated out, and we're going to use this as our framework because there's some really solid things in here, and I'm just going to go all over the place with this. I'm not 100% sure the direction that he was going as far as what he's envisioning the final product to look like or anything like that, so it's going to be interesting. Probably end up going a totally different route. We'll see. But this is it's a cool idea with kind of a melodic, finger-picked kind of guitar part. And one thing that I just wanted to show, because I end up showing people this all the time, is if you're someone that uses Guitar Pro or something similar to it, it all uses MIDI. And so what's nice about that is playing stuff back. Like here, let me play this for you. You should be able to hear this. If you need it louder, let me know. It's got some cool stuff. But anyway, the point is, if you're doing a cover song or you're doing your own, you don't have to completely recreate it in order to put it in the recording software. And a lot of times people don't really realize how easy this is. But for example, if he were to have finished the song and wanted me to give him a backing track of good sounding drum samples and bass and whatever other instruments, he could. Goddamn emails. He could send me this or just the MIDI file, and I can just run it through my virtual instruments. But if you're in here, you can just go to export and export the MIDI file. So what's killer about doing this is once you have that exported, you can literally just click and drag that into your session. Let's give it a sec to think. There we go. So we have every track that he did notated out. By the way that Cubase does things, it loaded up Hallian, which means that this is going to play with some kind of automatically chose some sounds. But the cool thing about this is it'll give you sort of a framework, and then you can obviously build off of this, right? Because we don't need to it might not end up being that instrument or, you know, whatever else. So I think so for this, I think what I'm going to end up doing is finding, let's take a peek at this instrument. Yeah, it loaded up a piano. Oops. We probably want to do. Got, what is this part? There's a lot of so anyway, the cool, like, I think he has a very solid foundation here. Couple things I was gonna bring up. For one, Penny, if you haven't listened to them before, you should definitely check out Clint Mansell. I'll type it out in the chat. But Clint, I believe this is the spelling of his name. He is the composer that was behind like The Fountain, Requiem for a Dream, and he is a master, in my opinion, of simple songwriting that's super effective, mainly as a result of the use of dynamics. There's a lot of cool things that you're doing in here that remind me of his composition style, I guess. So like The Fountain would be a cool soundtrack maybe to check out if you haven't already, to get some ideas of like instrumentation and stuff like that. So to begin with, there were a couple things I was going to bring up. We want to have like as much of a clear idea of the direction we want to go as we can, not necessarily just because it doesn't have to go that way, but it makes it much easier to think about. So for me, when I hear these ideas, I'm thinking a lot along the lines of a lot of ambience, some dark textures, making choosing instruments like there's like harp and clean like a nylon string guitar, and with some of that would be really cool. Maybe some piano. I always like organ, or like some pads, synth sort of stuff. I just saw organ there, so I said it. But like strings and stuff. That seems to be kind of what he has here already. So what we want to do is take this and get more specific with it. So in my head, I hear this as like this. So that part could be a variety of things in the song. This little pattern that happens here, that little idea, I think it would be probably, I would end up using that maybe as a chorus, or just some sort of, maybe even the verse, but something that would return. I like that feel right there. And there's a lot of stuff going on with the picking. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. What are you up to today? I can't even talk. Up to today. That's awesome. Appreciate you. It's a pretty simple E minor to a C, but he's doing some cool. And I like the little variations that he's doing in here. So if we were to take, in my head, I'm hearing some, I definitely think drums would be appropriate for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to load these up on our rack. So then we can split it up later and do some stuff with it if we need to. Create. God, my email is going nuts. All right, so I'm just going to load up Modern to Massive. We'll just use the raw kit for right now. Not worrying about any routing, any of that stuff for the time being. It doesn't really matter. For right now, it's all about the songwriting. So let's move this up here. We're going to kind of separate this where we have our instruments up on top and then the old stuff down here. And there's actually, like you can see, you loaded in a drum kit, but there's nothing in there right now. So we can kind of get rid of some of this. We don't need this track. And we don't need this track. I don't think we really need this one, but I'll leave that shit for right now. Okay, so I'm going to lay down a little... Let's start with this chunk. Because there's a few things that I want to bring up about the songwriting process using this as the example. One thing that if you're not familiar with, I'll bring up. Okay, so one thing if you're not familiar with them, there's something called the 7 elements of music. Hey, what's up, Jamie? How are you, man? Dude, how are you? The Sterling Jason Richardson, huh? That's awesome. I've been using the Music Man, John Petrucci for a long time now, and I love it. But I've been very curious about the Jason Richardson ones. I'm in the market for a 6-string of all things, and yeah, that's cool. I'm not quite sure what direction I'm gonna go. So with this chord progression, he's got a pretty, like I said, a solid foundation where you've got an E minor chord and a C chord going back and forth. Now what ends up happening is he does do some stuff with later on where he hits like an E flat, and what that's doing is borrowing. So when you have those, he's keeping the tonality pretty consistent, but that's a really nice thing to add as a change. So having like that, you get used to. Well, aren't the music? I was just talking to someone. Aren't the prices for you guys are so much worse than ours? Like the markup, I didn't even realize how much more expensive those instruments are. At least the guy I was talking to is in Calgary. But honestly, those Sterling, I've been really, really impressed lately with the Sterling stuff. The PRS SE stuff is awesome. I had a couple students get some of the. I know one guy got like the Zack Myers model, whoever that is. But they're super nice. I'm actually myself looking at, I'm not sure yet, but there's a Schecter model I'm considering. There's a couple LTD models, or custom, of course. I might end up just building something because it sounds cool. All right, I gotta load my drum map in here. So just to go over it real quick, oh geez, yeah, that's a lot. And honestly, once you get to that, like $1,000 range, how much better of an instrument are you really getting? Yeah, that's crazy. So the 7 elements of music, most people know some of them, but kind of I haven't set up the default. There we go. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so with this, you've got the melody, right? The stuff that stands out in front, just to make sure you got all this. You've got the harmony, which is just supporting that melody. You've got rhythm, which is your note duration. And then you get into the categories where people start forgetting about them. So you've got like texture, which is how your ideas are layered on top of each other. The dynamics, like the intensity, excitement level, whatever you want to think of it as. You've got timbre, T-I-M-B-R-E. That's like how things sound. You've got like the tone and everything. So depending on the guitar tone or using a cello or something, right, it changes things up. And you've also got like things like form, which I don't really pay attention to, which is like the order of your parts, right? But a lot of people, like I said, so he's doing an E minor C kind of progression where he ends up doing a little bit of a borrowed chord sort of thing. And that keeps it pretty unified. And what we probably want to pay attention to the most at the beginning is just the feel. So a borrowed chord is taking something that from outside of the key that you're currently in. So in this case, we're kind of in the key of like an E minor. Then we go to like the key. It's almost like in like the key of C, borrowing from the key of C minor kind of thing. So it's like taking it from another chord. We'll talk more about those, but just for right now, think about it as like you're temporarily stealing a chord or borrowing one from another key. Okay, so with this idea, you have feel, and this is something that a lot of people end up ignoring. So if we just take 4 measures for right now, and we're just going to put 1 bass drum hit at the beginning of each measure, and then accents on 2 and 4, it's kind of like your standard feel. And what we want to try and do is figure out what we want. We can always change it and do stuff like that, but if we have... back and forth between those. To me, it might be more appropriate to put the accent just on the 3rd beat, have like kind of a halftime. That might sound a little bit cooler to me. So let's get... Stop emailing me. Alright, this'll do for right now. Because again, it's about getting the ideas out, and I'd rather spend more time playing around with the layering than specific drum parts and stuff, right? Okay, so right here, you know, honestly, I didn't do much with classical. I did a lot more with jazz in college because I've never been super into like playing other people's music, and I always wanted to like just have the options to do whatever I wanted, kind of thing. So. Jazz in college was a lot more open to that, right? A lot more improvised and stuff like that. The I have done like when I started playing, I was doing a lot of fingerstyle stuff. It's been a while, but I started doing all that percussive acoustic stuff that you see on YouTube now, and yeah, I loved it. I do want to add a bass track in here. Let's get this going. Let's just do a clean tone for right now. I guess I should save this. What have you been up to musically? Anything cool? Are you doing anything special with the new guitar or anything? Alright, so let's just get a real simple thing to fill out this. And you know, so a lot of times the bass, right, will match the kick drum, so we can just do something like this. So if we had let me put something on my master to make this a little bit better. Can't even see that. So even having slightly different textures there rhythmically is starting to you know, increase some of that interest, right? If we're playing around with, you know, let me just switch to like some lead tone. How loud? Super loud. Holy. So it's that, like, you want to think about rhythms clashing and you want to think about pitches clashing. The closer things are together, the harder it tends to be, right? And so if right now if we're kind of laying down, you know, making this more, we would definitely make this more interesting drum-wise, but laying down some sort of relaxing foundation like that. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize that. I didn't know what tuning he used. That's cool. The is that your you've is this your first 7-string then, or is this? If that is, that's a badass first guitar for that. And the real question is, are you gonna scallop it? So let's take, I'm going to duplicate. So we're going to have one guitar. Let's get a clean thing going here. And let's also, let's add another instrument. Let's add, well, first of all, get a piano in there. If you guys need a good piano VST, this Keyzone Classic one is awesome for a free one. Let's just copy this. Having some stuff with that go. So like I said, I've been hearing a lot of like I think ambience and stuff would help this like a lot, which is interesting because I normally didn't do a lot of this. Yeah, that thing is, I don't think it would need any scalloping, but that's cool. I've been out of the loop with buying guitars for a while. I'm pretty impressed with all the stuff that's coming out now. It makes it hard for me to choose though. Like myself, I'm choosing between, there's a Schecter model LTD, and then there's, there's a couple other ones, but the, Ormsby maybe, I don't know. There's so many good ones that just like standard with like stainless steel frets and all the cool stuff. Let's do this. So we have. I'm gonna move this over here so we don't have anything else interfering. And let's go ahead. We're gonna have so we're gonna have, I think what I'm gonna do is have one guitar like we just had the tone wise, and then have one that has an overdrive pedal enabled on top. And we can use that for the secondary one. Man, that Rusty Cooley Ormsby is like probably the best shred guitar ever. It's so cool. I really the thing I like the most about that is actually with the fan frets. Like the worst thing about those guitars is always the bridge, in my opinion. So that one has the traditional bridge, and the fan starts in a different way. It seems a lot more natural. I mean, I like the Conklin that I have, but it's definitely the bridge feels different, you know. So let's get like. So obviously, depending on the direction you want to go, we could change up these instruments and stuff like crazy. But right here, I like it. So I think that like actually moving that piano part. Let's see. Might have to calm down with some of those effects, but having this. Yeah, this is cool. What are you doing, you doofus? It's just. on fingers. This would be a fun one to solo over for sure. So when I was bringing up Clint Mansell at the beginning, he would take something like this, like just 2 chords, and build that for an entire song. The song that really got him famous from I almost Dance of Eternity. Not even close. What is that? Requiem for a Dream. It's like a 4-note melody and 3 chords for like 7 minutes. But the dynamics make it interesting, right? So if we were to start with like... Let's just layer this in, because it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. So even if we just had something like this, building up, right? So I think one of the things that most people struggle with when they are doing their own songwriting is their transitions. So when you have, like a lot of times it's very common for people to have a bunch of badass ideas that they just aren't connecting. And I think that comes from a couple different things. Big part of that is not knowing what you want. And sometimes you don't know what you want, right? Like you have to kind of guess around and figure it out. But we want to get rid of as much of that guesswork as we can. We want to be able just to think, okay, I want this sort of feel, and then think about things that'll make that happen. Yeah, I mean, regardless of how good, quote unquote, you are at guitar, you already know a decent amount about music, and make up your mind, bud. So even if you only know, let's say you know, we'll keep it simple. Let's say you know 20 chords, and that's it, right? And you want to write a song. You still don't want to be thinking about all 20 of those. You want to be thinking about what's going to fit in the context of what you're doing, right? Like, there's no point in wasting your energy thinking about things that you're not even going to bother using. So, with something like this, like thinking about his idea, let's go back to listening to just the raw thing. This is a pretty cool little part. So like having something like, oh geez, not that. Putting this someplace where we can go, you know, like a little intro or something. You know, build into that somehow. So here we've got that E minor, C, E minor, and C back and forth, right? So like right here, he started actually kind of doing a bit of this. There's a little bit of like a kind of a palm muted build up there. And then we've got this part's not what I wanted. did that one chord go? You had one. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. Like if we were to take this, let's see. Right there, you got like that. And actually, I would probably use those voicings. I don't tend to go for like those more traditional open chords as much, but doing something with this could be pretty cool, where you have like these, maybe like E minor 7, major 7. Yeah, that D. Let's see. That's a cool intro, or whatever part he ends up wanting to make that be. So if I were doing this, the one thing that I would be conscious of probably the most would be dividing the responsibility up amongst different instruments, right? Like the guitar is not responsible for everything. And so even if you just split up, like in this part, there's a little bit of a melody going on as well as like a chord, I would probably separate those out. So if we had, let's see, like, I like that a lot. And that would be something that so the C, E minor, E flat. That's a badass progression. So let's take the ideas of that. Let's just put some of these chords down so we have the foundation. That. Yeah, have a great weekend too, man. I'm glad you stopped by and said, hey, have fun with your new guitar, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Appreciate it, man. And just getting different inversions of those same chords can be really, really sweet. And so when we're thinking about texture, if we have this going, we're just simple chords. I'm kind of picking through those. So let's do this. Let's kind of take this. Remember, you want to think about the pitch ranges, right? So I just put, let's actually make this a bass thing for right now. I would actually probably put this as a cello, but for the time being, I'm just going to make this as a bass part. make this 1 octave lower. So texturally for this part, I would probably play a little around with, if we've got that established. So with this, I would pay attention to the motions, right? So when we've got the beginning part, it goes down. Maybe I would go to a higher voicing. So like right here. Okay, so I'm gonna separate these a bit because I want to have a little bit more. I think I'm gonna have this extend a little bit before it gets into like by an extra measure. Okay, so let's take this idea, because sometimes, like, we're just talking about transitions. A transition can be just something as simple as a rhythmic change or a drum fill. One thing that's really good to do is like in that next part, the E minor to the C, he's got this rhythm where you've got kind of like the House of the Rising Sun kind of rhythm, right? So, excuse me, we could introduce something like that early to make this transition flow well, but we don't have to, right? We could always have, let me go back. Let's get these, the simple guitar, chords recorded, and then we're gonna add the other layer, so. If I played it correctly. Here we go. How do I want to play that? Let's see, so voicings, I don't want it to get too muddy, so we want C, E minor. That's a really cool resolution, so I'm going to focus on that. 2, 3, 4. Boom. Okay, so right here, like we were saying, a transition can definitely be something that's just a short little idea to pull you in, right? But you can make like an entire section. That's kind of what a pre-chorus is. It's a big transition to get you from the verse into the chorus. And so with this, let's play around with those chords and just let's do something completely different than what we started with. Not completely, but we're gonna take the chords and then do some fun stuff with it. So if we take, let's start by putting our relaxing kind of drum feel, right? So I think like this part sounds to me like a cool introduction because it's a little bit less symmetrical and things like that. What's up, Seth? How are you, man? It's a little less symmetrical, so I feel like doing making something a little bit more symmetrical would lend itself to being more of like a verse. And I really like that transition that he was doing, that chord progression. So we're gonna take some of this. Okay, so let's do. Actually, let me just steal the original one. So all I did right here is just steal it, so I don't have to type out the rhythm. But we're going from, let's say, E. Let's do the C D thing. E. And then, where did this guitar come from? I've had it for a little while. I just hardly ever use a 6-string until I get my new one. Everything's back ordered though, so I don't know which one I'll end up buying. Let's do this. Ding, 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 ding. Otto looks comfy now. He was he spent about a good 30 minutes trying to get in that position. Let's see. Actually, I want to just stay on that borrowed. All right, and we're gonna go, because I'm feeling it, we're gonna add, hopefully this doesn't crash everything. It seems to have, we'll see. I want a little bit of like a pad in the background, so let's see what we can find. If I can actually see any of this. Yeah, I hear. We'll use it for now. I'll change it in a sec. We want to make this nope. So I want to get the low end just with these octaves, just because it sounds cool. And then let's flesh these chords out a bit, because that bar, without doing that, it's going to be a little bit it won't have the exact it won't draw attention to the notes that I want as much, especially on that E flat chord at the end. I know it says D sharp, but I didn't set up the key. We got like that G at the top there. Let's find these voicings. keep the C, keep the, I can't talk, keep the G and B. Let's take a peek or a listen. Enjoy your bike ride. Are you taking Max's bike? Okay, so right here, I want something consistent for the low end. So like a... And then we're gonna have some other textures going on. The more layers you add, you tend to simplify individual parts more, right? Because you don't want everything, like we were talking about things clashing, especially when you're adding a lot of layers. You want to make sure that you keep space for things, right? So I might even do something like... Try it again. So right there, I like that. I don't like hitting the high note first. So what we want to do, I'm going to double this up. I'm a big fan of variations, so the first time I'm probably going to do a different, or a second time I'll do a different voicing. But let's get this... All right, let's give this a go. That sounds kind of cool, actually. So right there's a lot of, like a big thing that I would have to do is edit the effects, because it's starting to get a little crazy there. But I think a slow sort of melody on the high end, and then having like, yeah, let's get this piano in here. So maybe what we can do, actually let me show you this on piano. So if we had that kind of first and third idea that we were layering in, that sort of thing. So if we have this, let's just get the first and third going across. Oops. Okay, so we've got like this, right? I mean, it's okay, but there's a lot more interesting things that we can do with this. So if we had something. You know, so like adding more of those melodic elements as you go is great. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy. So right now when we have all these different layers, it's not going to be all like probably happening at once. Like this is. So what I want to do is take this overdriven affected guitar and add a little bit different texture and different pitch range. Everything's pretty low right now, so I'd probably want to end up like, here, let me boost this. All right, let's see. Work your way up and then kind of come back down, sort of thing. But like with the thirds, like we were talking about. I think the coolest thing about doing this is that part. Here, let me add that little high parts, like something simple, just for an example's sake. So let's try that again while hitting record. Play it right, you dummy. Why is this? There we go. So with something like this, right? Again, you could have it built in. So we could have something where it starts more minimal. Let's duplicate that. Boom, boom. Oop. Boom, boom. You have something simple. this better. So anyway, we could easily have this be a way of, you know, transitioning us into this other spot. So like, let's say we did this. Let's just give this a go from the beginning. Wrong thing. I gotta think about that real quick. So, then to C minor for that last one. Okay, so that. So let's do this. So this is just those two chords. I think that would lend itself maybe a little bit better for a chorus then, right? Because it's... That's cool. Let's do... shoot. it's not what I want, but it'll will work for right now. So we want a little bit of a, like I said, a little lead in, right? So put whatever we do here. Let's just get this little Alright, so we've got this little intro. And like I said, I'd have some more textures in here, so let's just like little, almost like that melodic element like he was doing, right? The and honestly, like even a repetitive texture can be really cool. Let's just do something like that. So I would definitely be changing the pitches, but just to illustrate that real quick. Yeah, so that's kind of builds a little bit, you know, song structure-wise a little bit more. Even though like I was saying, that's something I don't pay attention to nearly as much. But like we've got that new kind of a part that unifies, you know, the different things. So, and he has a lot of cool stuff that I haven't even touched. You know, so there's incorporating these different layers, like, you know, this electric part, for example. Let's see. You know, having that going at the beginning. And see, that's the cool part. I think he has a good way of thinking about things. That's why it reminded me of Clint a little bit too. But thinking about like those textures kind of naturally, and when you have like that part right there, I think is cool because it's a chord outline, but it's melodic, right? So when you have right there, those you could hit like ninth chord, outline those. So let's add audio. Oh, come on, you. Mono. Yes, input 2. So this could totally build up into something bigger, heavier as well. I like the mellow mood. I think if you were to do something more intense, I would continue to have the same textures in the background, but I would like kind of reinforce it, I guess. You know, just like kind of fill it out in the background more. So let's honestly, you could just probably do power chords, and if you want to make it thick, I would probably do power chords with the 5th in the bass. The reason I'm choosing power chords is I don't want to overwhelm it. Like that right there is already probably too crazy. Let's see. So like, I would definitely have variations on this. I think maybe the first time through, keeping it more mellow would be cool, and then maybe making it more aggressive like a second time would be a good idea. So if we had something like this. Honestly, for this part, I would probably change that at the end. Maybe hit the D again or something like that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like a structure goes, I dig it. The I might put like a little bit of let's do this. Let's see how long this is. So yeah, like a little interlude thing right there, just to transition us back into this. You know, so it doesn't have to be anything crazy. But if we go, like, let's listen to this all the way through. Let me actually. Let's get this heavy guitar in here. Oh, I didn't realize I had that playing. So yeah, so that right now we've got like a little bit of variation, right? Because we've got the mellow stuff, and it gets a little heavier the second time. The drums are super boring right now. The bass is super boring right now, and I've omitted a lot of the details in the voice leading that he already has. So all of that shit is really cool. It's just it's almost in a way like I'm doing the important foundational stuff first, and then adding all the cool shit as we go. But let's just give this a little listen. Pretty cool, man. Let's take a little listen to some of the other. So obviously, one thing I should say too, I have obviously taken this more of like a traditional band route, right? If we wanted, this could be full film score orchestration, or could be a lot of different things, but I think this is I just wanted to kind of show maybe what I would end up doing with that. So let's do this again. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I think that it'll be really. I hope he takes some of this and does his own thing and makes it into something we can listen to completely. Because like I said, with all the extra textures and stuff that he has in there, it's more about getting the song structure and like thinking about the. I think this thinking about the story that you want to tell. So if you have, you know, you have your intro, you got your verses, your chorus, your solo, whatever you're looking to do, it can actually be pretty helpful to map out on a piece of paper just like the dynamics of what you're doing. So like when I do that, there's people that go crazy with this and they'll like color code the lines, and if it's a blue squiggly line, it means the violin comes in and it's playing in a certain way. You can go crazy, but I think that for me, I just map out like where I want the transition to be, like feel like a hit in the face, you know, where it's super direct and like instant. And then there's other times when you're going to want to kind of build it up, right? If the vision that I have like for this idea would be probably to build it up and then have it hit you hard at some point later on. So like kind of like a gradual build. You can't even see that. Gradual build, like sort of a pseudo climax, go back down, build it back up, and you know, have it slam in. That would be really cool, I think. I'm putting this in the chat. I don't know if I'm spelling it right, but that song is the Requiem for a Dream one we were talking about at the beginning. That is 7 minutes of 3 chords and 4 notes in the melody or whatever. That's a really good example of taking a small idea, building it up, and making it interesting. And I think if you take some of those concepts with this, it'll help out a bunch just in, you know, making things what you want. Because everything you have here is really solid. You just need to get the full thing done. I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. So, but it's like those final steps of like making some choices and deciding, oh, I want this instrument or this sound. Because I just have basic stuff here, right? If you were to add, there's a BBC Symphonic Orchestra. That plugin is free. That's a really cool one. But I've got better ones too. But taking something like that and adding all the orchestration that you want. Another thing that would be cool to play around with is just like in terms of tone. Like with this, if you have a piano matching the clean guitar and you blend those together, you can get some interesting timbres. And the, yeah, I think there's some cool stuff in there that you could do. Not a solid ending, but you get the idea. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of cool things in here. I hope that we get to hear more of this soon, and even maybe how I can have him refine what we're working on and make it more what he wants. But for anyone out there that is, struggling with the songwriting thing, feel free to get in touch, and I'd be happy to do the same thing we did today, where we take the ideas and kind of play around with them and build them up. Could be anything. So if there's anything you guys are looking for, we're looking definitely for some more submissions. I have a few more that I was going to do today, but just ended up getting sucked into this one. So we have more on deck, but I'd be happy to take a peek at some of the other stuff, because I want to do some more stuff that's like viewer engagement, I guess you could say. So anyway, I think we're gonna call that a stream for the day. Thanks again to the sponsors: Swiss Picks, Limitless Cables, Resistance Publishing, Huntley Guitar Lessons, Dissonant Harmony, my puppy. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I definitely hope the rest of your day goes well, and yeah, we'll see you soon. So, thanks a bunch, everybody.